Hello, in this video we are looking at Dhammapada, chapter 10, verse 5. So I made a mistake there, verse 54, verse 5. And that's verse 133 in the consecutive numbering. Ma vocha parusang kanchi vutta prativadeyutam Dukhahi sarambha katha patidanda pusayutam. Now with the text up. Ma vocha parusang kanchi vutta prativadeyutam Dukhahi sarambha katha patidanda pusayutam. So, ma vocha, it's ma avocha, and then by sandhi, ma vocha. This is a form of the negative imperative, do not say. In Pali, it's more frequent just to use the regular imperative with the negating ma or na. This is a negative imperative which is quite common in Sanskrit, much more common in Sanskrit than in Pali, and this form looks to me a bit like a Sanskritism that has crept in. And that's where you put the aorist of the second person, you can have it in the singular or the plural, the aorist, drop off the a of the aorist and put a ma in front of it. So you were would be abu in Sanskrit, abu. Do not be is ma bu. You can see a reference to it on in Perniola at paragraph 272 at page 352. So it just means that do not say. Ma vucha parusang kanchi. Now this word kanchi, on the face of it, this looks like do not say anything harsh. But parusa, there are two words for wrong, several words for wrong speech. Two in particular is pisuna and parusa. Pisuna can mean speech that might sound very charming and lovely, but is kind of insidious, insinuating, a half line, designed a nice sounding speech, designed for nefarious purposes. Parusa, by contrast, is a harsh, rough, vulgar, where the form of the speech itself is aggressive or unpleasant or rough or harsh. Now, if it was simply do not say anything harsh, I would have expected to see kinchi, not kanchi, as kinchi would be the neuter form, and the neuter is also used either as a neuter adjective for a neuter noun, or just without any noun means anything. It becomes an indefinite pronoun. Ma vucha parusang kinchi is what we'd have expected for do not say anything harsh. This gam form, with ganchi, with the chi at the end, is, strictly speaking, a feminine form. Now, it could be construed as a feminine form, but we need a feminine noun to go with it. Now here there's the possibility, which I hadn't mentioned in the notes that I originally did, but I've added to the fresh note here. If you see, let me scroll down here. So this could be the regular feminine accusative. So look, Perniola, let me correct that. And it could be referring to an unexpressed object. Do not utter any harsh speech. It would be kata, and the word kata we have in the following line, meaning speech or words said. It could be that. It would be a little bit unusual to do it in that way in Pali, to have an unexpressed object particularly if it's a feminine noun, and you put the adjective for the feminine noun in the feminine accusative, but not express the noun itself. A little bit unusual. So anyway, here we are. It could be either do not say anything harsh, with kanchi where I'd have expected kinchi, or do not utter any harsh speech, would be kanchi katam, kanchi parusam katam. So back to where we were then. So mavu chakanchi parusam katam, do not say anything harsh. Vutta pativadayutam. Now, this is the avocha and vutta, both from the same root. Vach. Let me just call up the iPad for you. Here we are. It's from the root vach. And we make the past participle by adding ta. So we would expect to see vachta, but that's not allowed in Sanskrit. So chat before ta by internal sandhi becomes vakta. Again, what happens is that in Vedic, the ta of the past participle was stressed or pronounced on a higher tone. These tonalities have disappeared in classical Sanskrit, but their effect slightly remains. Because in Vedic, this ta would have been a stressed syllable, and the previous va would have been an unstressed syllable. And therefore, by the process of samprasarana, or syllable softening, the vakta, which doesn't exactly exist, the va becomes shortened to u. That's how we get ukta. And in Pali, oddly enough, the va comes back, but the u is retained, so that's how we get the vutta. Vutta. Now, the verb vach, to speak or to say, it takes the accusative both of the thing said and of the person spoken to. They're both in the accusative, like the English address. He addressed him thus. So the vutta, the vuttam, I mean the word said, and the vutta, the vutto, is the person addressed. And in Sanskrit, when you're describing a conversation, then the person, certain words are spoken to the person and he responds to them, and very often you see the phrase in Sanskrit, I've done a note on it, evam uktah, evam, this is Sanskrit now, evam uktaha, literally thus addressed, thus spoken to, he responded. So here, vutta in this verse means the persons spoken to. It's the masculine nominative plural. Vutta, persons spoken to, means persons who have been spoken to in that way. Pativadeyutang, might counter speak to him. So vadati, to say, pativadati, to say back. In other words, echo that same form of speech. You say something harsh and nasty, and that person might respond with something equally harsh and nasty back. This is one meaning of the pati, doing something in response, doing it back. So, mavocha parusang kanchi, do not say anything harsh. Vutta pativadeyutang, vutta, the spoken to, meaning the persons who have been spoken to in that way. Pativadeyutang, might respond to him, or might counter-respond, might answer him back in that same way, is the idea here. This form of the verb, by the way, the optative in au can have au or ayum, by the either equally correct. Now to the next line, dukhahi sarambhakatha patidanunda pusayutang. So, sarambha katha, I've done a note on this, the arambha, from the root rab, sometimes as the nasal and rumb, means to take or to grab, and arumb mostly means to start doing something, as in to take it up, to put your hands out, to grab it, you start it. This sarambha, or sung with the prefix sang rambha in Sanskrit, and that gets lengthened to a sa, slightly irregularly, but sarambha in Pali means like grabbing and then acting rashly, and then by extension it's come to mean anger. So you rush into something in an angry way, and then just by extension anger. So sarambha katha is anger speech spoken in anger. So what is it? Sarambha katha, literally anger speech. Dukkha is painful. Dukkhahi, this prefix, the entitic here, he, particle he, for painful is a speech of anger. Often when you find the he is the second word in a line, the entire thing will often be a kind of explanation of what has gone before. As in English we might say, using the conjunction for, as in say nothing harsh, for those spoken to might answer you back, for speech spoken in anger is painful. That's the effect of the he here. Now remember that dukkha is both a neuter noun, and it's also an adjective that can decline like an adjective in the ordinary way, and that is the reason that we have dukkhahi sarambha katha, because katha, feminine noun, speech, so dukkha, feminine form of dukkha. So for painful is literally anger speech spoken in anger. Pratidanda pusayutam. Danda is a punishment. Pratidanda, just as in prativadayu, they might counter say, they might respond, retort to you. And here, pratidanda, danda here is a noun, so counter punishments, things done to him in return for what he has done. This pratidanda pusayutam, might touch him. This word pusayu, it's from the Sanskrit root sprish, meaning to touch. It's a class 6 verb, sprishati. And in Pali, sprishati becomes pusati by standard phonetic variation. It's actually cognate with the Latin word spergere, meaning to sprinkle. In fact, our English word sprinkle also comes from that same root. So whereas in Sanskrit and Pali it has a more generalized meaning of touch, in Latin aspergere means to either to sprinkle or spatter with liquid. We have asperges me domine, you will sprinkle me, O Lord, with hyssop. That's the Latin translation of one of the Psalms. And so the specialized meaning of sprinkle, but back in Sanskrit and Pali it means touch or to affect. So here, patidanda pusayutam, counter punishments might touch him, means might counter punishments might get him, he might catch counter punishments. And again, the au, equally correct, would have been ayum. In fact, in prose you tend to see it with the final m there. It's in poetry, it can be shortened as a valid alternative form. So in prose we would more likely have seen in the first line prativadayuntam, And in the second line, puseyuntam, might touch, would touch him. And in both of these cases, pativadeyu and puseyu, it's not pativadanti or pusanti, it's the optative form, meaning a generalized possibility, might touch him, or likely to touch him, would touch him, that kind of idea. So I will read through the text slowly once more. Ma vocha parusang kanchi vutta prativadayutam dukhahi sarambha katha pratidanda pusayutam. And once more. Ma vocha parusang kanchi vutta prativadayutam dukhahi sarambha katha pratidanda pusayutam. And that's it on this video.